welcome back. What is up? Today we are going to be baking some chocolate cake and some whipped cream. Well, we're not baking the whipped cream, but I've never done this before, and it is 10:02. You know what that means. Late night baking. Let's do it. First things first, don't mind the splattered oil. It's fine. Start our ovens. So I'm gonna preheat it to 355 because my oven doesn't like to hold heat as well as it did before, so I always put it 5 degrees higher, and then once I open the door and put the things in the oven and close it, I'll wait it like a minute or two, and then I'll bump it back down to the proper temperature it's supposed to be, and that ensures that it's going to be at 350 the entire time of cooking, instead of me wondering, oh no, did the oven lose some heat when I open the door. First step is to preheat that oven and learn your oven. We're going to start with our dry ingredients: gluten-free flour, 3/4 of a cup, and then chickpea flour, 1/4 cup. Now, next we need Dutch cocoa powder. I'm using Dutch cocoa powder because it's a richer flavor, and as well it's alkalized, so it's going to be more basic and neutralized instead of acidic like regular cocoa powder. We're gonna do 1/3 of a cup. Also, only use Dutch cocoa powder when the recipe calls for it. Don't just go switching up things, because you gotta make sure your recipe is using both baking powder and baking soda if you're going to use Dutch cocoa powder. And this is why we've got the sifter, because the clumps in the Dutch cocoa powder, it will mix way better if you sift it first. See? Those clumps, them clumps, you don't want that. Okay. Next, sugar. So I'm using cane sugar, and it's already pretty gritty, so it's not really going to do anything to go through a sifter. That was 1/4 cup. Now we're going to do our baking powder and baking soda. They each are 1 teaspoon, and I like to just actually use the lid like this to scrape off. If you want the most accurate measurements with every dry ingredient, make sure you are leveling it off, making sure it's loose, and then leveling it off with a knife. Salt, we're gonna do 1/2 teaspoon to kind of make sure. You don't want it too salty, okay? Salt will ruin recipes if you put too much. That is it. We're going to whisk together all the dry ingredients now. Make sure it's blended well. See how nice that is now? No clumps. That is what you're looking for, no clumps. Now, wet ingredients. We're going to start with oil. I'm just using canola oil. We're going to do 1/4 of a cup. So you always want to look at it at eye level and use a liquid measure. So oil, 1/4 cup. Can't be wasting any of them ingredients. Oil, and then we're going to do milk. Now my favorite is this next milk. It is great for baking and literally anything else, like mashed potatoes, whatever. It doesn't have that sweet hint of sweetness, but you can also use, normally I would use unsweetened soy milk in this recipe. You can use the sweetened or original soy milk as well if you want, but it will still work. So I need 3/4 and 2 tablespoons. And this is the nice thing about liquid measuring cups, is that they have 3/4 and a few other measurements on there that dry measures don't usually come with. So I'm just gonna pop it in here. Milk. Next is maple syrup. Now I don't have enough maple syrup, so I'm going to mix it with some agave. So I need 1/2 cup. This is usually where all my maple syrup goes, making this chocolate cake recipe. You can substitute these two for each other in most recipes. So liquid sugar, and they're about the same sweetness. So if you do not have one, you can totally use the other. Just don't use pancake syrup, okay? Maple syrup. And I find maple syrup is a literal key ingredient in a lot of vegan baking recipes. I mean, I know we put regular sugar in here too, cane sugar, but maple syrup just has more of like those caramel kind of tones. Okay, now vanilla extract. I'm just using the artificial one. Use whatever you want. If you like the artificial one, if you like the organic, or you pay for what you get basically. So 1.5 teaspoons. Last but not least, apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon. So we're going to whisk, because that maple syrup and agave is thick, we're going to just mix this together, really make sure it's good. So we're gonna go ahead and add the liquids into the dry ingredients. You can start whisking right away if you want. I always use a spatula to make sure I get every last bit. And just go around the edges like this to make sure you get everything incorporated and there's no dry spots. It's the worst thing ever to pour out your batter and there be dry spots at the bottom. So you can be pretty aggressive with this. You're not going to have to worry about ruining anything like how we would with pancakes. That seems good. Since my round here, my paper, is not big enough, I'm just gonna put a little spray around the edges here. I'm aiming for a thinner layer of cake. To help ourselves even more to get these equally the same, I'm going to weigh them. Oh, you know what? I forgot one ingredient. Chocolate chips. I buy the PC kind. They are plant-based. So I'm just gonna go and gonna use my hand and throw some in there. And then I'm just gonna give it a nice little fold here. Just make sure they're incorporated a little bit there. Okay, now we're gonna use a scale, so I put it on grams, and I'm going to weigh this, and then I'm going to tare it. So I know that usually I split this recipe into 2, and it's usually around 320, I think, something like that, or 300. So I think we're gonna do 150. I'll do 150, and then hopefully that's gonna equal out in the end, but we'll just see. Okay, 157. It doesn't look like much, but it will spread out. Yeah, I think I might need to do more than 150 in each pan. 164. So we'll aim for somewhere in between 150 and 160 something. So there's 155. There won't be that much noticeable difference, so 157, okay. I'm not too concerned. I think I have more than 150 left, but we'll see. Now we just play the game of adding an extra scoop to each of these. I'm going to just kind of spread this around the pan here. And then to get the bubbles out, okay, we're just gonna bang it a little bit there. Now we're going to put them in the oven. I just turned the oven down to 350. And as you can see, we did lose some temperature, so it's at 337, and it's gonna go back up to 350 now. And it should stay at 350 for the time. So because I made such thin layers, normally splitting it into 2 pans, it would take about 20 minutes or 18. So what I do when I make mini cupcakes is I do about 12 to 15 minutes. So that's kind of the basis I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start off with 10. So I'm gonna put the timer on for 10 minutes. While it's preheating again or getting back up to 350, then we'll just kind of keep our eye on it because it is a really thin layer. It might cook really fast. Okay, there's about 2 minutes left on the timer, but I just took a peek inside and they look like they're pretty done, so I'm gonna go check them with a toothpick now. So this is what you want to look for, is a little small, you can't really see, but a little small crumb on the end, not sticky or anything. So I'm going to turn off the oven and the timer. And now I'm gonna take the rest of them out and let them cool for a few minutes. We'll just test these other ones. Alrighty, so it's been about 5 minutes, so I'm just gonna go around the edges of the pan and make sure that we're not sticking. Highly recommend using something silicone or plastic. Don't use metal on your metal pans, okay people? It's not good. You'll just scrape them and it'll just ruin them, and no. Use some plastic, wood even, but probably is not going to be very helpful. Silicone, okay? And now I'm going to flip all of those onto a metal rack I'm going to flip them onto a metal rack to cool down now. And just be careful as well. It will tip if you don't have it situated properly. Okay, we're looking good. We're looking perfecto. So what I'm going to do now is peel off these papers. Oh, look, you can, oh, the chocolate chips, they got stuck. Okay, so I'm going to peel these all off and then let them cool and we'll be back. So what I'm going to do is cut some circles because you know we want it to be cute. So let's see if this will work on the thing. Okay, no. Grab a little parchment. Okay, my plan might fail. So this is a prime example, prime reason why you should put your cake in the freezer or into the fridge to chill it before if you're going to cut it into little squares or little things like this, because it's sticky. Okay, it's not as bad. It's not bad at all, actually. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, when they're frozen or like semi-frozen. Okay, that's not bad. That is not bad. Okay, now this one looks like it will be perfection also, so I'll use this one too. Delicious. And we're going to be using So Delicious Cocoa Whip, vegan, gluten-free. Now, trusty old spatula. I'm gonna take some whipped cream, doppel, and then we are going to, and blunk. Okay, it's ugly on the top, but cute. I'll put some more whipped cream on the top so to hide that. Cute. Nothing is broken. There we go. Good enough. Ta-da! Alright, there's mine. And then I made one for Clay. Obviously, that was the first one. Here's mine. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with one hand, but you know what I was thinking? You could totally throw this in the freezer and it could be like an ice cream sandwich, basically. Like a cakey ice cream. I can't. Delicious. Okay, I'm just gonna try and pick it up and just hope for the best. It's falling already. Oh my gosh. Okay, look at that. So messy. Okay. That is the greatest creation. I would say freeze it a little bit so it stays together. Freeze it. Oh my god. Holy. I have no words. This is just what the universe was craving. Okay, I gotta go. Alrighty, that's gonna be it for the vlog, guys. And our vlog, I don't know, video. That's gonna be it for the video, guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it sprung up some creativity in baking and maybe taught you something along the way. Don't forget to store your extras once they're cool in the fridge or in the freezer. The cake is totally fine in the freezer as long as you wrap it in cling wrap. And the whipped cream, I think you can refreeze and stuff like that. So it's totally fine. You can make them into them, keep them in the freezer in a Tupperware, or just keep everything in the fridge and help yourself tomorrow, which is what we'll probably do. I hope you enjoyed again, and I will see you in the next video.